Winner, winner, Sheen dinner.
Hail to the king, baby.
Hello, welcome back to A Boring Revolution, your number one news source for everything in regards to The Boring Company. Happy 2025, everyone. Fantastic year that we've just had with The Boring Company. Major progress in Nevada. Lots of tunnels completed. All the links to all the hotels in and around the conference centre have been open now. And everything is progressing very nicely. But obviously, there are other projects that the Boring Company is thinking about doing. Although, the majority of the work that the Boring Company does this year, and probably next year, and probably the year after that, will be in Nevada, in Las Vegas. But there is this new project that has come about that potentially has a massive opportunity, or is a massive opportunity for the Boring Company, which is the Texas A&M University project. Was not aware of this university or its incredible size. I've never seen a university that big. Maybe in the UK we just have lots and lots of little universities and they all add up to quite a big number, whereas in America this thing is an absolute monster. But with that kind of size comes massive inflows of cash and potential for big infrastructure projects. The main problem with the Texas Agricultural and Mechanical University is that their campus is so big now and has so many students, and the number of students coming onto campus is increasing by a couple of thousand every year. That congestion has become so severe that people are not even making it into their lectures on time. They're rolling up 20, 25, 30 minutes late. And this is a big problem for the university because it cannot expand if people are missing their lectures or having to sit in traffic for 45 minutes, an hour to get into the university. It kind of reaches its glass ceiling, as it were, in terms of its size. And there are big plans to expand this university and to build up the various campuses. But it cannot do that with the current road system in and around the university. They have buses and taxis and things like that to move people around, but that is just not sufficient at this very moment in time. Now, there have been talks about reducing the number of students that go to the university, but that it's not very ambitious, is it? It's kind of accepting defeat when you admit that you cannot grow the university beyond its current size. And really, there are a lot of opportunities for maybe a metro system or some kind of light rail bus system or a Boring Company loop network. And the Boring Company is very keen to do this because essentially this university is a bottomless pit of money, and the Boring Company could really extract some big money from this kind of contract and potentially turn this into a much bigger scheme, potentially connecting the entire city and surrounding towns, and then you end up with a system that's over 40 miles, and it's definitely a project that I would be very interested in doing, and the Boring Company has had extensive talks with the university about this project. So let's have a look and kind of discuss this. So it's Texas Agricultural and Mechanical University. It does a lot more than agriculture and mechanical. They do a whole host of things now. Hundreds of courses in various sectors: agriculture, the arts, law. A&M really doesn't pay kind of tribute to what they actually do at the moment, but that's how it founded, 1876, which is not too bad. That. The College Station, which is kind of the town that it sits in, it's very confusing. It's called College Station because then everything ends in station. So if you have a station and a station, it's a bit bizarre. But the population in 2020, so 5 years ago, was 120,000. So you'd imagine that's closer to 130,000 now. A&M University has 73,000 students. So that's almost 8 times as many students as the university that I went to, which is one of the bigger ones in the UK, and 11,000 staff. So coming in the morning, late morning, afternoon, you've got well over 80,000 people moving into a town with a population of 130,000 essentially. That is incredible numbers of people moving in and out. So it needs a better system. The main campus is 5,500 acres or 22.25 square kilometers. It boggles the mind how big that is, and it's growing. That's the thing. They keep adding new buildings and new departments and consolidating things and new car parks and new student accommodation. It's growing. It's growing at an incredible pace, and the money available there for subcontractors and people working in and around the university is incredible. Whether you're building infrastructure or you're cleaning windows or you're a plumber or whatever, painter, the opportunity for work in and around this university is phenomenal. The campus is situated 76.4 miles northwest of Houston, Texas. So there's your big city there. And it's also about 83 miles east of Austin, which is not too bad either. So let's just have a quick look at the map. So as you can see, here is A&M University at a place called College Station, which is adjacent to another town called Bryan. What a bizarre name for a town. But Bryan has, I think, around 100,000 or so people living there. So the combined population of that area is quite impressive. And you could see that area becoming another kind of city, as it were, to rival Austin and Houston maybe at some point if the investment comes in. Looks and sounds like a beautiful place to live. So there's the area there, as you can see. We're nicely sat between Houston and Austin along Interstate 6, I believe. And then we have San Antonio that is just down here as well. So there's a nice kind of local population for feeding into this particular university. And I imagine they have a large number of foreign exchange students as well, and students from all across North America and Europe. So it's named the Aggie Loop. Not really a big fan of that name, but hey, if that's what we want to call it. But from what we know, so based on what I've read in various articles, newspaper articles, there are going to be 2 phases of construction. I don't know if one starts after the other, or maybe they have a pause in between to set up the system. Or maybe they start phase A and then 8 or 9 months later they start phase B. I don't know how they're gonna work it, but I'm sure we'll find out. I'd imagine that they do the first phase over 18 months, and then as that concludes, they start commissioning that, and then they start phase 2 or phase B after that. So phase A is 2.3 miles, 4.6 miles of tunnelling. Remember, this is a dual bore system. So you have a tunnel on the left and you have a tunnel on the right, and that doubles the mileage. And phase B is 2 miles, although I suspect it's slightly less than that, but I'll explain how I have calculated that in a moment. So 6 surface stations, obviously they're the more affordable option, and 3 subsurface stations. Some areas there's just not really the space above ground, and it would cause congestion and obstruct people, so you have to go for the subsurface stations. They get very expensive. It's almost double the price of a surface station, potentially even 3 times the price depending on how and where you do it. Each location is unique, and thus there are unique challenges to doing something in location A versus location B or C. We also have, if you pull up the article on Teslarati, we have a list of places where this phase A will link to. So we have the Northern Polo Road area, Memorial Student Centre, the Reed Arena, which is, I believe, a football stadium and a big one. I think it's over 100,000 people. I just can't get my my brain around how big, just for a university, they've got a 100,000 seat stadium. There's teams in the Premiership that have 25,000 seater stadiums. Multi-million pound incomes, and that's less than a university. And these places, which are White Creek Apartments, which I assume are what we call halls of residence in the UK, or where student accommodation is situated. So I've taken those 4 locations and I've plotted it on a map, and I was able to get to the 2.3 miles. So I'm pretty confident, 95% confident that I know the routes of both these phases. They're saying 3-year build schedule. That could be difficult in such a confined space, but we'll see. The tunnels will be constructed very, very quickly, but then obviously the stations, they might take well over, a year to 16 months, something like that, potentially. And then you've also got to commission the system as well. I don't know if that's classified as part of the construction, or they've got a separate timeline for that, but we'll just assume it's in that 3 years, because I think you could do it less than that if you have multiple TBMs. If you have 3 TBMs, you could easily do that in 2 years, I think. And you have multiple contractors building the stations. You could have 4 different contractors all doing various different stations and things like that. Maybe 3 contractors, major contractors. So construction costs, which I found quite high, but when I actually ran the numbers, it is coming in at around 250 million, 280 million. So those are the kind of key pieces of information that I've extracted from various news articles. However, as you know, with the Boring Company, things change fairly quickly. So it could end up being a 6-mile project, and there could be 12 stations. We don't know. These are very, very early days. So everything you see here will likely change. There's a good 80% chance that what you see on the screen now will change. This is the article from BNN Bloomberg that I have pulled this information from, and the Tesla article. And if I remember to do so, I will post them in the description area below. That's worth reading. Pause if you wish and read, but it's just confirming what I've just told you. Right, so taking those locations that I've pulled out of the article, I've then attempted to join them up, and I came up with this route, which is coming up at 2.35 miles, which is almost identical. So I'm guessing that this will be the best way to connect all those various destinations. Although we have 9 stations, and I don't know exactly. I only know where 4 of them are. So it might be that it could slightly deviate from this, but I'm pretty confident that that's going to be the route. As for the second phase, this line here is about 1.9 miles, so I'm pretty confident that that's going to be the second one, unless it goes a completely different direction. But we'll have to wait and see. But with it being a loop, I presume that they would connect either ends, and then vehicles can stay in the system at all time. But you could expand this massively down towards the airport as well. So the airport, I believe, is down here. So it could theoretically balloon into quite a big system, this, and you could go in up here into town, or maybe down this Texas Avenue as well at some point. But a lot of potential there, and I'm presuming the Boring Company would fund projects that are not part of the university, and that's easy money for them, really. Very, very easy. Okay, so here's the bit you've all been waiting for. My costings. As you know, I've worked in the construction industry, and I've got a reasonably decent understanding of costings, how things are built, all particular different methodology for building things. Although I will premise this by saying that I've never built a tunnel or an underground station, but I've built essentially a foundation system that was 40 foot deep for a large apartment block, and that looks very similar to an underground station when you're talking about construction methodology and things like that. and props and ring beams and things like that. So I've got a pretty good understanding of how you do this. And as it is with construction, you're always learning new things anyway. So I'm going to increase. We've been told by the Boring Company that it's around 4.5 million to construct a mile of tunnel. Now, there are other things that are part of that, like the road deck and ramps and other things, and setting up the TBM and all that sort of thing. So I'm going to increase that very, very slightly to 5.35 million per mile, which I think is a very reasonable estimate. And we have 8.6 miles of tunnel if you include both phases. So we got $46 million. Our underground stations are going to be expensive. Maybe not quite that expensive, but it's better to go high than go too low. So I'm saying 28 million per station. There's 3 of them, that's 84 million. Above ground stations, we've got 6 of them, they're 15 million, so that's 90. The reason the underground stations are so expensive is that it takes a lot of time. You've got to remove all that excavation material, which has to go somewhere, so you're paying that to be removed. You've got to shore up that excavation. It involves multiple different concrete pours, secant piles or sheet piling, however you do. There's multiple ways to do it. But and then you've got escalators. You might have have lifts in there. You've got fire suppression system. It goes on and on and on. So if the underground station is a lot bigger than the one that was built in Nevada, and they have all these extra amenities and maybe places where people can kind of sit and get a coffee or things like that, then it could end up being very, very expensive. Now, they could do a very, very basic underground station and get it below 20 million. But if the university wants something very kind of special and unique and it's got good facilities, it could end up being well above 30 million, who knows. Above ground stations, it's very, very simple. I think I've massively overestimated it at 15 million, but there might be extra little things that need adding on that the university stresses are important. So it could be that it's an enclosed space and it's air conditioned. We don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if it just turned out to be a big glass box with air conditioning and lots of seating, vending machines, Starbucks and other coffee chains in there, and it's a big thing. And they might make you they might make you do a specific roof style or something that adds cost. It's hard to say, but I still think 15 million is excessive, but that's what we're going to go for. Now, there's the system, and when I'm going for the costings of this system, I mean to build it, to commission it, and then to run it. So they're going to need some Tesla vehicles. Those Tesla vehicles are going to be sold at a discount. So I presume they will use the Model 3 long range and the Model Y long range as well. I don't think they'll use the performance one. They might use some Model X vehicles. I doubt they'll use any Model S vehicles, but the kind of average cost of a vehicle in the system will be around 38,750. It probably could be a lot lower than that because they might sell them at a very steep discount. I can't tell you how low it will go, but because they're buying so many vehicles at the same time, I imagine Tesla would give them quite a considerable discount. I don't know if that will go through Tesla directly, or Tesla or the Boring Company will buy the vehicles from Tesla and then sell them onto the project. I don't know, but there's obviously a cost that's incurred there. So I've also included a vehicle compound. So that would include areas where vehicles can be repaired, can be new tires can be added, vehicles can be checked over at the end of the day, and an area where vehicles can be stored, and an area where vehicles can be cleaned as well. There's a whole host of things that are going to need to be done. And they do have parking facilities on the university, and presume at night time they'll be empty anyway. But some vehicles will need to stay in the compound, and some vehicles will need to be charged in the compound as well. So I'm just putting a cost against that. It's hard to estimate that because I don't really understand if the existing facilities could be modified and how much that would cost. But I'd imagine they'd just do something down the road that it's purpose-built building, maybe 4 stories, like a multi-story parking garage. It's 4 stories. Vehicles can drive in and drive out on ramps, and you've got charging facilities maybe outside and inside as well, and then repair, cleaning facilities. Because the vehicles are going to need to be valeted internally as well as externally. There's a lot to think about there. So there's going to be a maintenance contract as well. So this will be for maintaining the tunnels, maintaining the fire suppression systems for the electricity going to the tunnels, the lighting, maintaining the road surface, all these sorts of things. So I presume that would be thrown into the contract, and I think I've massively underestimated this here, but it just seems reasonable to me that the Boring Company would offer this to the university, given that they're going to get paid an absolute sledge load of money anyway. So I've got 18 million for that over a 10-year period. So 1.8 million for what is essentially 8.6 miles isn't too bad at all. You probably could add a bit of cost on there for cleaning and maintaining the vehicles as well, but it's difficult to say how often they'll do that and how much that would cost. But I think 1.8 is reasonable. Maybe it's 2.5, so we're in the kind of ballpark there, aren't we? And it might be the university says, we can do this ourselves. I don't know, but I doubt it. So I'd imagine that would be its own separate thing. So the overall cost of all this is 280 million, which is not far from the 250, 350 million estimate. The areas where money could be saved are here. You could do a very, very simple underground station. Almost nothing in there. Just concrete walls, no paint, very few signs, some seating, but not that much. A little bit of lighting. Don't even need to. Well, you probably would you want to air condition that space? You probably would. Certainly in Texas. So that is an area where you could make some big savings. Maybe, possibly knock that down to 10. Who knows? Maybe less than that. I'm imagining that it will start with 800 and over time this will grow as well. But theoretically, maybe you could get that down as well. Theoretically. But it depends on the mix of vehicles that are going into the system. So it might be that the university says, hey, we really like the Model X. The Model X is really good because it's got its Falcon wing doors, and people can just jump in, and it's got 6 seats, and it might be that they have 30, 40 of those in addition to all the Model 3s and the Model Ys. I'd much rather they just said, you know what, every vehicle is going to be the same. Every vehicle is going to be a long-range Model Y. And there might be the Robovan. You never know, the Robovan might be in there, but I doubt it. Certainly not for the next 3 years or 4 years. But there you go. Those are my costings. If you have a disagreement or you think that it can be done a different way, then tell me in the comments below. But I think these are fairly reasonable. They're not going to be that exact. At some point I will get a costing and then we'll discuss that, and maybe I'll bring this up and tell you how wrong I was. But yeah, so summary. Very, very impressive project this. A lot of opportunity here for expanding it once this project's been completed. A lot of potential revenue to be extracted from the system itself. I imagine that the university will want to keep the vast majority of revenue that comes from fares, but it might be that the Boring Company gets a 25% cut, 20% cut, something like that, and that will add up very quickly, especially if you could expand this down to the airport and other places. I mean, the airport is only down the road, so it would make sense to just do 1.8 mile extension and have it go to the airport, and then when people are flying in, I presume the vast majority of people who come from out of state fly in, so you know that's money as well. But with this being a university, and universities are absolutely flooded with money, especially a university that's massively expanding, this is an absolute gold mine for the Boring Company, and I would recommend them doing this project even if they lose money on it, because long term it's just money's going to be flooding in from it. So let's hope this project gets done. I suspect that a lot of things will change over the next 2 years. There's also the very real possibility that this project could just kind of fizzle out and disappear. It's that doesn't mean the Boring Company is a failure. Far from it. You know, you have talks between two businesses, and sometimes you can't come to an agreement, and that's just life. Sometimes you cannot make the deal, you know, and there's a big contract in Nevada. You know, there's another 62 miles of tunnel that need constructing in Nevada, and dozens of stations, and the Boring Company is going to have lots of money coming in over the next 3 years. So even if they don't get this project, they've still got lots of things going on. But I think that this is a very good project, especially since the head office is based in Bastrop in Texas. They need a project in Texas to kind of prove to people what they can actually do with, you know, a budget. So hopefully this project gets started, but you never know. And a potential problem, I don't actually know if I can see it on the map here, or the overview, is there is a railway line going through the site somewhere. There's a railway line, isn't there? Well, there is one, I can't remember where it is, that kind of runs through the site. So they need to obviously work with whoever owns that railway line and figure out what's going on. But I'm very, very excited about this project. Hopefully I have more to talk about in the next 3 or 4 months. But yeah, let me know what you like. If you have not done so and you've just found this channel and you're about to switch off this video, do not do so. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, because I have content coming out every 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not spamming you with content, and the content is high quality. And also consider following me on X and Discord, and maybe even supporting me on Patreon if you are willing to do so. Or you know, just follow the channel. That's all. That's the most important thing to me, is that we're getting those subscription numbers up on YouTube. But I do have a lot of Patreons, and every piece of equipment that's in front of me, this microphone, this camera, the computer, this 28-inch screen, is all down to Patreons making contributions, and it's massively improved the quality of my channel. So thank you all to all those people. Hope you had a lovely 2025 people. Fantastic. And just a reminder, obviously, Douglas Austin used to help me a lot with photographs and information for Las Vegas. Obviously, he passed away last year. We do miss him dearly, but you know, he's a good guy. He's got an incredible legacy, and I feel blessed to have talked to this man, and to have listened to his wisdom. And yeah, hopefully we have a better 2025. But hey, these things happen. Okay, everyone, take care now, and don't be boring. See you on the next one. Goodbye.
And with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon.
Come quietly, or there will be trouble.